Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we bring you a story full of surprises and hidden angles that few people know about. Don't leave just yet. Just when you think you've figured it all out, there are fascinating and meaningful details waiting for you at the end of the video. Let's explore together and uncover the special message this video has for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. After the cries and chaos subsided, only fields of bones remained, buried in an eerie silence. Hulagu Khan, the infamous butcher of Baghdad, had departed, leaving devastation in his wake. His sights were now set on Syria. The Sultan of Aleppo and Damascus, Al-Nasir Yusuf, had defied Mongol supremacy, refusing submission to Hulagu and the Great Khan. Envoys were sent to deliver a grim ultimatum: dismantle your fortresses and bow to the Khan, or face annihilation. While some in the Sultan's court argued for surrender, the Sultan believed his cities could withstand a siege. Among his advisors was a seasoned warrior, Baybars, his steely gaze clouded by a cataract, yet unwavering. This Egyptian commander warned that walls would not hold against the Mongols and urged the Sultan to rally the army to meet them in open battle. His counsel ignored, Baybars gathered his loyalists and departed, leaving Syria to its fate. In early 1260, death arrived swiftly. The Mongols breached Aleppo's walls within a week. From the citadel, the defenders could only watch in horror as their people were massacred. The garrison held out for weeks before capitulating, only to be slaughtered alongside their families under Hulagu's orders. Damascus surrendered without resistance as Al-Nasir fled, leaving the Mongols to impose their rule and bring the Ayyubid dynasty to an end. Ironically, just a decade earlier, the Ayyubids had celebrated victory over the Crusaders, even capturing the French king Louis IX. But internal strife had weakened them. Overthrown by the Mamluks, their former elite soldiers, the remnants of the Ayyubid dynasty fell into disarray. Baybars, a distinguished Mamluk who had fled Egypt amidst political turmoil, now returned to reconcile with his rival, Mamluk Sultan Qutuz, as the winds of war gathered strength. As a boy, Baybars had known only struggle. His people, displaced by invaders, sought refuge in Crimea, where many were slaughtered. Baybars himself was sold into slavery, eventually ending up in Egypt, where he was trained as a Mamluk warrior. Now, the very invaders who had uprooted his people, the Mongols, sent envoys to Cairo with a chilling message: submit or face obliteration. Qutuz's response was swift and brutal. He executed the Mongol envoys and prepared his army for war. The Mongol general Kitbuka, commanding a reduced force of 10,000 in Palestine, rallied his warriors upon hearing of the Mamluk advance. Meanwhile, Qutuz's army camped near Acre, receiving limited support from Crusaders who, despite their enmity with Islam, refused to ally with the Mongols. Baybars, riding ahead, located the Mongol forces near the spring of Ain Jalut. As dawn broke over the Galilean hills, the Mamluks prepared for battle. Their core soldiers, former slaves turned elite warriors, were masters of horse archery and melee combat, clad in lamellar armor. Across the plains, the Mongols, renowned for their unparalleled horsemanship and fearsome light cavalry, stood ready. The first clash came from the Mongols, their arrows drawing the first blood in the pivotal battle that would shape the fate of the region. The Mongol heavy cavalry charges into the Mamluk line like a thunderbolt, followed by a devastating storm of arrows. Mamluk soldiers fall amidst the chaos as fear grips the ranks. Sensing the unease, Qutuz rallies his men, shouting for them to stand firm, to fight for their faith, and to counter with a charge of their own. Amid the fierce combat, an Ayyubid prince fighting for the Mongols' defects, taking his forces with him. The Mamluks seized this opportunity, swarming the exposed flank and locking the Mongols in a brutal melee. Swords clash, axes bite, and spears pierce as warriors are torn apart. On the edges of the fray, horse archers exchange deadly volleys. Gradually, the Mongol formation crumbles. Some make desperate last stands, leaping from their mounts to fight to the death. General Kitbuka is overwhelmed, and his severed head becomes a grim trophy in Katu's hands. Baybars, relentless in pursuit, hunts down fleeing Mongols, slaughtering many in the hills. Those hiding in the reeds are not spared. The Mamluks set the fields ablaze, leaving no survivors. The shock of the Mongol defeat at Ain Jalut reverberates through the region. Their grip on Syria falters as administrators flee the cities, allowing the Mamluks to reclaim control. Qutuz, triumphant, leads his army back to Egypt. Less than a year prior, he had overthrown the previous sultan to seize the throne. Yet treachery follows victory. During the return journey, as Qutuz rides alongside Baybars, an ambush unfolds. Baybars, with his loyal followers, seizes the moment. Feigning camaraderie, he suddenly draws his sword and strikes down the sultan, proclaiming the act as divinely sanctioned. With Qutuz dead, Baybars declares his triumph over both his rival and the Mongols, cementing his claim as the new Sultan of Egypt. Hulagu Khan, distant and undeterred, views Ain Jalut not as a devastating loss, but as a mere setback, a prelude to vengeance. His vast forces remain intact, but internal strife weakens the Mongol Empire. Disputes with Berke, a northern Mongol prince who has embraced Islam, escalate into open conflict. Berke, enraged by Hulagu's brutal sack of Baghdad, vows retribution, plunging the empire into civil war. Baybars, ever astute, seizes the moment to forge an alliance with Berke and the Golden Horde. Through this pact, the Mamluks secure a steady supply of slaves to bolster their armies, while Hulagu, distracted on two fronts, seeks European allies. In a bold letter to King Louis IX of France, Hulagu boasts of his conquests. Baghdad and Aleppo laid to waste, Al-Nasir Yusuf executed with his head displayed atop Tabriz's gates. Yet his overtures to the west yield little beyond fleeting cooperation. Even after Hulagu's death in 1265, his son Abaka inherits his ambitions, but fails to unite the Mongols and Crusaders in any meaningful way. When Lord Edward of England leads a crusade in 1271, Abaka sends 10,000 Mongols to Syria, but the campaign falters, and Baybars swiftly capitalizes, forcing the Mongols to retreat. The Sultan's cunning even extends to assassination. An Ismaili agent allegedly wounds Edward, prompting the future king to abandon his crusade. Years of survival in this volatile web of Islamic, Mongol, and Christian interests have honed Baybars into a master strategist. Yet the Mongol thirst for vengeance endures. In 1277, nearly 2 decades after Ain Jalut, Baybars gathers his Mamluk forces once more. The Sultan, now aged and weary from years of war, leads his army through sand and mountains, their journey heavy with the weight of past battles. In the moonlit hills near El Bistan, they prepare for the inevitable clash. As dawn breaks, the Mongols unleash their fury in a relentless assault, inaugurating another chapter in their quest for domination. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. If you found this story interesting and meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting content coming up. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. We're eager to hear from you. See you in the upcoming videos with more unique and meaningful stories. Stay with us.